Easy now, folks. I'm going to have a go at catching some shrimp here. So I've got my wee examination pot that I'm going to put some of the tank water into. And I've also got my trusty telescopic shrimp net. Think these are great for catching shrimp, so I do. The reason I'm catching these shrimp is a regular viewer, Highlands Girl, asked me if I could make a video about shipping shrimp, which admittedly isn't something I do all the time. I don't want to make out that it is, but I have done it quite a few times and it's gone well, so I don't mind sharing how I did it. I'll not catch loads of shrimp out of the tank where they're dead comfortable just for the sake of demonstration, but we'll grab 3 or 4 and then we'll go through it then, eh? One of the first things we're going to need is a box to transport them in, and I always keep these polystyrene boxes that I get fish delivered to me in. Obviously they're perfect for the task, give a good bit of insulation, but if you can't manage that, you can just get yourself some polystyrene sheeting and a normal box and then kind of cut the polystyrene to size. I would chop them one at a time and slot them into the box and then measure the necks, because the measurements do change the more size you put in. You'll see what I mean when you do it, but I'll leave that to you anyway. As long as we've got a box that is sturdy and is going to offer some insulation, then we're good. So we'll roll with this one. The next thing we're going to need is a fish bag. I always keep the bags that the fish come in when I get them, and I like these rounded corners on the bags. It means the shrimp can't get stuck down in the corners. If you aren't able to get those, you can just use the normal bags and tape the corners up. So once I've picked some shrimp out, I always like to give them a once over. Make sure they're nice shrimp and nice and healthy if I'm sending them on to somebody else. And then when I'm happy, away I go, I can pour them into a bag. If I don't have any of the soft nylon netting you get with shrimp sometimes, I always add a wee bit of a plant, a wee bit of moss. It's just perfect, and not too much. Plants breathe too, right? And in an enclosed bag, that's not really what we're wanting. It's just to give them something to hang on to, so they're not pulling each other's legs off when they're rolling about in a bag in transit. I'm going to add a little bit more water. Not too much, maybe double what I had already. Water's quite heavy, and obviously when we're posting it, that has an impact on the weight and therefore the cost. That looks about right for me though, for just a few shrimp. Should be okay till they get where they're going. After that, we can tie the bag off. Some people don't allow for any air in the bag. I have done, and it's seemed to have been okay. I like to twist my bag and then tie it really tight. I tie it twice, in fact. Other people like to twist it and use the elastic band method. Either seems to be fine. I'll leave that to you to decide what you'd prefer. On this occasion I'm using both. Can't hurt, can it? So we have our shrimp all nice and safe and ready to go. Next we need to make sure they don't rock about in the box, so we can use bubble wrap, or if you've got some of that packing paper, you can use that. You could even use fish bags that have got some air in them and tied up tight, just to make a bit of cushioning. The idea is just to prevent the bag moving about inside the box. We don't want to risk stressing the shrimp or the bag coming undone. I would imagine it also helps to retain a little bit of heat. Keep them nice and warm on their journey. Whilst we're talking about that, a heat pack is going to be the next thing you need to use, particularly if you live somewhere a little bit colder, like where I do. There's different heat packs you can get. I would say always get the one that lasts the longest. We just want to make sure our shrimp get there healthy and stress free, don't we? Might even be a cold pack you need, depending where in the world you are, but again, I'll leave that to you to decide. So we'll take that to the lid and put a wee bit of packing paper between the heat pad and the bag of shrimp. Not that it gets terribly hot, but you know, just for the peace of mind. And we're nearly there. Now we're thinking about securing our box, so want to make sure that it's taped up nice and tight. that it's not going to come loose at any stage. I always like to tape along any gaps or joins. We're just trying to make sure the temperature stays as consistent as possible inside. After that, we can think about adding our address label, if that's something you're not going to do at the post office or mail station or wherever it is called in your area. Might want to add a couple of fragile stickers or this way up stickers if you've got them. The thing to remember is we want to be doing all of this just before we're going to head to the post office, or just before we think the post is going to be picked up, because what we're aiming for is for the shrimp to be in the package for as little a time as possible. Anything we can do to reduce the time that the shrimp are in the package is desirable, including purchasing the quickest mailing method that we possibly can. So it's time for me to head to the post office. Like I've said, I'm not saying that's the best way of doing it. That's the way I've done it a few times and has worked fine for me. The shrimp have arrived fine the other side. As ever, if anyone's got anything to add or anything that's going to help each other out, then please put it in the comments below. Otherwise, I'm out. Later, 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 later.